And I mean almost word for word. It's when I start lining up those scriptures to something written 36,000 years, you have to say to yourself, what came first, the chicken or the egg? I mean, this stuff is really old, and you start to realize that a lot of this information was literally hand-picked directly out of these tablets. And when you look in the Old Testament of the Bible and some of these other texts, you discover that that information came from the Sumerian tablets, which are publicly available, and you don't need Zechariah's Ascension to decipher the Sumerian tablets. The Sumerian tablets have been deciphered hundreds of years before Zechariah's Ascension was even born, before he was even an embryo, or whatever you want to call it, a spermatozoa. That thing has been floating around. Oh, he's the only person that can decipher it. No. What Zechariah's Ascension did was he took information from the tablets that were already deciphered hundreds of years before he was born, and he took information from the Bible, from the Quran, and from other religious texts, the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, and what he did was he painted a picture. He tried to piece it all together and give us an idea of what may have happened. I think that his work's been venerated because a lot of independent scholars have now gone into the tablets, including myself, and have come up with the same concept. Now, the story may be slightly different here or there, some of the particulars, but the overall idea that these advanced beings came here in ancient times, and they didn't create a human being from scratch, like just, oh, poof, we're going to make a human out of dirt and do some alchemical stuff. But what I personally believe is that they came here and an existing hominid was already on this planet evolving, not the typical evolution of, the mainstream science, but we were here already, and probably most likely a lot smarter and more intelligent than we are now. I'm dead serious. I'm not talking technologically smarter, maybe not in that time frame that they arrived, because there has been 4 advanced humanoid civilizations on this planet before the Anunnaki even got here. They came at a time when we were down. We had fallen again through the cycle of the yugas. Civilizations rise and civilizations fall. That's just the cycle of life. There's nothing you can do. It's a very cyclical thing. And when they arrived, there was an existing hominid here who was attached to this planet more spiritually, more in tune with the Schumann resonance and frequency of the planet. We all still have millions of magnetite crystals in our brains right now, and we don't even use them. Well, not all of us. Some of us here are using them. But a lot of people don't use them to navigate the planet, to detect situations that are occurring. For example, if there's a tsunami coming inland, wild animals get away from the coastline hours, sometimes days before it occurs. How come they know and we don't know? We stay there and we're swimming in the ocean and we get swallowed right up. But all the wild animals head up to the mountains. They're in tune with the earth. They're in tune with the planet. And I believe that based on the skull size of some of our ancestors that were here, they weren't called Homo sapiens at that time. They were various different humanoids. To me, in my personal opinion, after looking into the research and looking into some of the archaeological sites, they were way more advanced than us. Their pineal gland was larger. They were spiritually in tune. They most likely had psychic capabilities, can communicate without moving their mouths and everything else, maybe even telekinesis, a lot of other various gifts that we are now all just starting to rediscover, how to download information. And real quick, I want to talk about that because a lot of people use the word I get downloads. Never be afraid to use that because let me tell you something, the human DNA is very powerful. It's also a fractal pattern. But one of the most interesting things I found out about the human DNA is that 1 gram of DNA, that's enough to put on the tip of your finger, can store 700 terabytes of data. 700 terabytes on 1 gram. A human body can literally store all the information from the beginning of time until this day. 1 human body. You're literally walking around in a gigantic storage unit of data that's already inside of you. And when you look at what happened when these beings came here, they disconnected that. So it wasn't that they created a dumbed-down version. What they did was they started disconnecting our information and made us into Homo sapiens. Our brains got smaller, our pineal gland shrank, and we have all this junk DNA that used to be connected. Now, one thing they discovered about the DNA is that you can actually download digital bits of information directly onto DNA. Zeros and ones, like I can connect it into a microchip, put it into a computer, and I can upload and download files, videos, play this whole presentation on DNA. Think about that. This is being done in universities all over the country. So I think they downloaded the whole Library of Congress onto the DNA and uploaded it back to the server. Now they discovered as well that, which we here already knew, that everybody emits a frequency. That frequency is emanating out and in, upload, download from DNA. So when you say you're getting a download, you're really getting a download. Your body, if it's in tune to the right frequency, will download information directly into the DNA, and now they found out that memories are stored also in DNA. So you can download information, digital bits of information into your DNA, and they can then be sent to the brain for processing, and you can get spiritual contact, you can see into other dimensions, you can get deeper into meditations, you can get in better, higher levels of intuition. All these things are very capable and possible and are not freakish, mystical, things that shouldn't be happening in human beings. These things should be happening all the time and on a daily basis. This should be a normal part of our lives. Right now, the people that are in these positions of being able to tap into these frequencies and gather information are considered superheroes, in my personal opinion. But eventually, as we continue to move back towards that golden age, a lot more people will be able to tap into these abilities as well. Thoth built the Great Pyramid. This is in the Emerald Tablets. His exact words, "I builded the Great Pyramid, patterned after the pyramid of Earth's force, burning eternally so that it too might remain through the ages. In it I builded my knowledge of magic science." Magic science translates into advanced technology. "So that I may be here when I return from Amenti. While I sleep in the halls of Amenti, my soul roaming free will incarnate, dwell amongst men in one form or another, Hermes the thrice born." And one thing that, if you've seen some of my other talks, I talk about these halls of Amenti, which were now discovered underneath the Great Pyramid at Giza, where Thoth would go down for 100 years at a time, and he had been down there 100 times by the time he wrote these tablets. So that's 100,000 years he has spent in regeneration chambers. Yeah, which have now been discovered underneath, and they're covered in depth in the book and sort of photos and everything. Underneath the Great Pyramid, hundreds of these rooms that are down there, where most likely they had these regeneration chambers that he would utilize. And he would transfer his consciousness from one avatar body to another, which we're now doing ourselves. You look at DARPA. DARPA has the Avatar Project. Successfully already has now transferred a human soldier consciousness that's in a concrete room, probably in a bunker somewhere, into a field robot halfway around the world or in some test facility. This is documented, real science. It's already been admitted. This isn't like a conspiracy. This is real stuff. You can look it up. To where now, just like the movie, the consciousness of the soldier is inside of this robotic body. If you look at the 2045 project with Russia, they are now at the point where they've already transferred the consciousness of a monkey into a computer. And the monkey thinks it's alive. It's eating bananas, it's climbing trees, it's running around. The monkey is dead. Well, physically in this realm it's dead, but it's living inside of a computer. That's how easily the mind is fooled. And when you start looking at these virtual reality games and how high-tech they're getting, you can understand that why some people are getting heart attacks from being inside of virtual reality. People have had strokes being inside of virtual reality because that's how good it is. It fools the brain into thinking that you're really there. And if it's a scary scenario where it's some kind of a roller coaster or whatever and you get scared, you can literally have a heart attack or a stroke. But the reason why I brought this up is because pyramids are a very big part of the fractal pattern that we live in. This is a very short video. It's going to just demonstrate to you fractal patterning of a pyramid. Now, when I've been all over the world. Every pyramid complex I've been to, there are multiple pyramids inside of the pyramid, built into the structure. All pyramid design, well, at least the ones that I've been to, have been fractally designed from the inside out. As you continue to feed back the pattern directly into itself, you can get an unlimited amount of these fractal patterns without increasing the volume of space. So inside of this pattern, you can go almost infinite with the fractal patternization without actually having to make the triangle any bigger. That's what's so amazing about fractals. Like I said, I've been all over the world. This is a video of me at Teotihuacan in Mexico. This is the Pyramid of the Sun behind me. This pyramid is built of multiple pyramidal structures on the internal part of it. So inside this pyramid, it's built based on a fractal pattern design. And like I said, most of the pyramids around the world are all built on this fractal pattern type of a design, where there's pyramids inside of pyramids inside of pyramids until you get to the outer structure. There's also the Pyramid of the Moon there. That as well is a multi-pyramid design. So when you look at the internal structure, it's pyramids on top of pyramids, and it's built again in a fractal pattern. This is me at Giza, at the Great Pyramid. Again, this pyramid, I've been around it, inside of it, on top of it. This is one of the most amazing pyramids in the world, and it's called the Great Pyramid for a reason. It has so many astrological and numerological features in it, and it's just mind-blowing and outstanding. You can calculate everything with the Great Pyramid. You can calculate the speed of the Earth around the sun. You can calculate the distance to the moon. You can calculate the distance to the sun. You can calculate the tropical year, the sidereal year. This is all based off the pyramid blocks and the geometric shape and the feet that it has on the base, as well as the height at the top. The height of the Great Pyramid will give you the average land height of all the land mass in the entire world. How do you get that information? That means you have to be in something above the land that scans all of the land mass, and it has to take that information into consideration, and it has to come up with an average number. When it comes up with that average number of land mass, then you say, okay, we're going to build a Great Pyramid to that average land mass height, so that somebody in the future can discover how technologically advanced this is, or key in on some of these mysteries that we have hidden here. This should be like a beacon to say, hey, there's more knowledge than this in here. So when I looked into it, the Great Pyramid is 455 feet high, and that's the average land mass of all the land on Earth. It's also built directly in the center of the land mass of Earth, not in the center of the Earth. It's built in the center of the land mass. So again, you would have to be able to scan the entire planet and find out where would the central location for all land mass on this planet be located, and boom, right there. When you look at the Peri Reis map, which is an ancient map that dates back and has been reproduced many, many times over and over lambskin and everything else, this ancient map depicts Antarctica without the ice, exactly as it would look if the ice was removed. The other thing that's amazing about this is that it's written in a certain type of an angle on the parchment, and that angle could only be viewed from space looking directly down on Cairo, that perspective of the map. So again, we have another hint that these people our cousins may have been space travelers.